okay, we have more connections between Princess Diana, America, and George Washington. And I believe that the end of the Republic will be soon. And it's all connected to Princess Diana, who's the figure Isis, William Shakespeare, the Rosicrucians, and they seem to be behind these events. And it seems like these families, these Masonic families and secret societies, have been ruling the world secretly since the days of Egypt, ancient Egypt, and even before that. And we can see this through the Diana family, the Spencer family. Now, at the beginning of this program, Secrets of Althorpe, we have Diana dancing on a Masonic floor, like the puppets on the Masonic floor on iPet Go 2. Everybody who's connected with the upper classes and Freemasonry are just puppets. And they have been chosen for these roles, and their families go back generations, and it's all to do with secret knowledge of mankind, and what they believe is that some higher intelligence has been behind the ascent of man, which I will try to explain. So here we have Diana tapping on the Masonic floor, the tap dancing.
I remember my sister Diana in the main entrance hall. She was very keen on tap dancing. That's what she wanted to be when she was old, as a tap dancer. And so I can, every time I go to that hall, I can remember the clacking of the tap dancing as she practiced.
Diana spent happy, carefree years within the freedom of the house and its vast estate.
What a wonderfully spoiling place to grow up. We've got all this beauty and privacy and safety for children. A lot of our life centered around just the...
So it goes on to show you how she married Charles, and they had William. William is the 1000th Knight of the Garter. Diana may have been a virgin at his birth. Diana, her name, as confirmed by the Earl of Spencer, is that in her oration, funeral oration, he said that Diana was named after the moon goddess, and she became the most hunted woman in the world. So he confirms that she was named after the moon goddess. Her perfume was called Isis. She is symbolic of Isis. This is what Rick Clay said. I have looked into it, and it seems right. And we can see that by her death and her role with Prince William. She was chosen as a brood mare for Charles. So this was all about bloodlines. And the Spencer family are a bloodline Templar family connected to the Rose Cross. And that is why they had the arranged marriage with Charles to give birth to William. And William was born of caesarean birth on the summer solstice. Diana may have been a virgin. He married Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton seems to have an ancestor called Thomas Middleton, who wrote a play called The Witches, which appears in Macbeth. So he also wrote Macbeth, one of the secret writers of Shakespeare. In that, Macbeth thinks he cannot be killed or by a man born of the womb, but he's killed by someone of caesarean birth. William was of caesarean birth. William will take over Charles. William is the 1000th Knight of the Garter that was created on St. George's Day. Shakespeare was born and died on St. George's Day. The emergency alert was on St. George's Day. Shakespeare was a creation of the Rosicrucians, whose symbol is the St. George flag, and who worship St. Michael and St. George. To them, they are the same character. One represents the divine and the other the mortal. St. George died in Palestine in 303 AD. That's 33 of Freemasonry. Now, the first man to get it was called William Shakespeare. Nadim Sahawi, Stratford-upon-Avon. You shake it before you spear it. This is all about creating a new age, and secret societies are behind all of these events. And that's why they seem so strange. And it's all connected to America, as the Spencer family are the Washingtons. They are the same family. They intermarried. The Washingtons were actually their servants. And then George Washington became the first president of the United States. We all know that Freemasonry is the main body behind the creation of the United States. You have George Washington Memorial, Masonic Memorial in America. And we will see that there's more clues.
Yeah, in the same county.
The Washingtons originally lived just 20 miles from the Althorpe estate. George Washington's ancestor Lawrence Washington moved there in 1529. He hoped to make his fortune in the profitable wool trade. Simon Snow now cares for the old Washington family house, Sulgrave Manor.
So the Washingtons have a house there. The Washingtons are buried in the chapel with the rest of the Spencers. And it shows you that this is all bloodline Freemasonry. And it's all connected to Diana being Isis, as I will explain. And the mother of William, who seems to be the Masonic, messianic figure. So the Statue of Liberty is based on Isis. And so we have another link to Diana. Remember, George Washington was related to Diana. Remember that the Washington Monument is an obelisk. An obelisk is associated with Isis. Osiris was cut to pieces. Isis put Osiris back together again, but there was a bit missing, so they put an artificial bit, and then it created the obelisk, and Horus was born, the sun. And what I believe, this is about the sun being born in the new age. And these secret societies have been in charge of mankind since generations and generations. And so the Washington Monument, the monument to Washington, is a monument of Isis. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill is Isis. So the creator of the founding fathers were Masons. The founding father, first president George Washington, was from the same family as Diana, and not a distant family, the same family. And you have all these, his memorial and his monument is dedicated to Isis, and Isis is the all-seeing eye. It represents enlightenment, the synthesis of the duality to reach enlightenment. Lucifer. Now when we go into the chapel of the Spencers and their tombs, we see that we have the lamb with the St. George's cross, and this image, which seems to indicate a connection to the Rose Cross, is on the gates of the city of London. So it shows you that they are Templars, and they were created for this role. And what you find here is that the Spencers were the main family that financed William Shakespeare.
famous in English history as being the patron of William Shakespeare. She was his eldest daughter and she married into the Prince family. So a lovely connection to Shakespeare, who actually was born and died not far from here.
So there you go. Shakespeare was also, they say, died near Althorpe. But they were the main financiers of Shakespeare, and we know Shakespeare was written by John Dee and Francis Bacon and the Rose Cross. And they seem to be behind all these events in which they want to collapse this age and create this new age. And it's all connected to Prince William and Diana and the Spencer family, who are the family behind America. And if we look at Althorpe, we see that Diana's memorial is in a temple dedicated to Diana. They say she's buried there, but she's not really. And it's surrounded by, it is an island surrounded by water. And that is because Diana, the moon goddess, with the crown, corona, is always associated with bathing, with water, because the moon is connected to the female and the female's menstrual cycle. And Diana, where they think she's actually buried in the chapel, but it's a secret, they've got secret rooms in the chapel, and in that same chapel is where Washington is buried, the ancestor of George Washington, in the same chapel as Diana. And on the coat of arms of the Washingtons, which they have in Althorpe, it is the same as the flag of Washington DC, and you have a raven on top of the coat of arms, and it represents this is what Edgar Allan Poe was alluding to in his writing. The fall of the House of Usher is the fall of the Republic, the Declaration and the Bill of Rights. That is going to be ended, I believe, by Trump, who's playing the Julius Caesar role. So we have the Pont de Alma memorial to Diana. Remember that Paris is named after Isis. In Paris they had a temple of Isis where Notre Dame is today. Notre Dame has twin towers. You have the Flame of Liberty. Now she hit the 13th column. She died in the 13th hour between 12 and 1. Well, that was when the accident was. The witching hour. It was on the 31st of August. That's 13 in reverse. There are 13 colonies in America. Virginia. It's named after Isis, the Virgin Moon Goddess. You also have places like Indiana as well in America. America is all has Egyptian names, Egyptian monuments. It is a continuation of this secret society role in history.